Hello and welcome. You're watching Solutions Ahead on India Ahead. If you have just joined us, then our topic today is IVF, in vitro fertilization. What began as a solution for infertility is now a solution for all couples who are planning a child. We're discussing about the solutions for IVF pregnancy, and to help us with that are my guests here today, Dr. Gunjan Gupta and Dr. Nupur Garg. You can call us right away with your questions on 68131312 or 13. You can also write to us. The email ID is solutions@indiaaheadnews.com. Dr. Gupta, my question to you is, are there any side effects or drawbacks to the procedure? Like, what should couples do if they want to ensure that they stay healthy and positive during this process? When I say process, I mean the procedure, the treatment, through IVF.
See, what we always say, to any procedure we can have some side effects. Nobody can rule that out any time.
Sure.
Because it involves giving certain injections which are given for a period of around 10 to 14 days, and then the eggs are taken by a fine suction needle under short anesthesia, and then the embryos is done, and then the embryos are put inside the wife's womb basically, and it carries on from there. So the injectable part can lead to certain allergies, pain, and pain is a big myth, I would not say an absolute myth, but yes, there's a big concern. It is a very painful, they call it. Well, it is painful, but not that painful.
That you can't move at all.
You
can't go back to your routine of work.
Of course, you can come, you can fix your time with this, the IVF center, come take injections, go back. And for example, our place, we have no specialist nurses, who people who will come, they will counsel. Lot of a role comes for counseling. They'll ease you out, and then you can go for it.
Which is very important.
Which is very
important. Do you also
important.
agree with that,
Yes,
Dr. Nupur?
It is very important to ease them off, and then the injections are the painful bit mainly. And there is another big myth that you will have to be on bed rest. It's a big thing which people come, because most of them are working.
That's not true.
No,
again.
that's absolutely wrong. They don't have to be on bed rest either after transfer or even after a positive pregnancy test.
So, Dr. Nupur, how do these treatments cost? When you talk about, let's say, for example, when you look at IVF treatment, we're talking about different cycles. Right? So every cycle will cost separately, and the entire treatment will cost separately?
No, it's actually the IVF, there are different types of IVF cycles available.
Right.
And depending upon the problem or the treatment that the patient is suffering, or the treatment that we are giving the patient, different IVF cycles have different cost. But the whole idea when we give IVF, when we start the IVF cycle for a patient, is to make it as cost effective for the patient. So we individualize the protocol for every patient. Not every patient, like IVF cycle, okay, it's going to cost around 2 lakhs. It's not like that. It is individualized. Some patients require it is the injections and the medications which are used are basically which are costly. So if the patient's requirement or the dose is less, then the overall the cost comes less for the patient.
Is it?
And if we have, like, in the first cycle itself, if we get a lot of embryos, if we get a lot of eggs, and 2 to 3 embryos we transfer in the fresh cycle, and the rest of the embryos we freeze, then overall the cost of the cycle, your patient is able to get 2 cycles or even 3 cycles from a same amount or the same investment they have done.
Right.
And the second or third cycle usually cost very, very less.
Very less.
So
also just a question here, because a lot of people say this, that due to IVF, multiple pregnancies take place.
No, earlier, it was like that it depends, your lab, how good the lab is, how is the success rate. The number of embryos that we transfer in the IVF actually decide your multiple pregnancy rate.
Right.
So earlier, when the IVF was initially started, so there was this trend of transferring 4 embryos, 5 embryos, even 6 embryos. So to increase the chance of success. But with lot of advancement coming up in your IVF lab, the newer medias, the newer medicines,
what we are doing now, we are going to the blastocyst. We call it blastocyst in technical terms, but it is like a day 5 transfer. So then you limit the number of embryos to 2.
Correct.
Okay.
So at the most they will have twins in most of the cases.
Also triplets sometimes.
And it's like the woman age is very young. She is like below 30 years of age, where the only tubal factor or only the male factor is responsible. We can go for a single embryo transfer.
Okay, that's possible.
Yeah.
So for all all of these,
the number. And also there is a possibility of embryo reduction.
Okay. I guess if you have all these questions, you should go visit an IVF center close by and get all your answers there as well, because I think sitting with your doctor or a specialist will help. We're having another caller here on air. Hello and welcome to Solutions Ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Shruti.
Okay.
I would like to know if whether my sister-in-law is actually trying to get into
IVF?
take the help of IVF, yes, but her husband is not.
Okay.
Is there any counseling service that they can get? Can you share any details regarding
Counseling service for the husband to agree? Do they
Actually,
have?
all the centers have counselors generally. So they can come she can come with the husband, they can sit, talk to the counselor.
Get some
and
facts.
Get facts, yeah. And what happens, they can like visit most of the time all of us have Facebook pages and all, so they can read testimonials, she can sit and see. So there's a lot of material available also on the internet, so they can see, and that will convince the husband. Otherwise, best is come to the center, meet one of the IVF specialists. Most of the centers will have a counselor, so even before meeting the doctor, they can meet the counselor. That will ease them off. Actually, that will be a barrier.
Right. Dr. Nupur, I have a question to ask you here. How does IVF compare to surrogacy? What would be the advantages that IVF would have, let's say, over surrogacy, if somebody would like to know?
Payal, we can say that surrogacy is an extension of IVF.
Okay.
Surrogate mother, like what is surrogacy basically? That we create an embryo in the IVF, in the lab through IVF, and that embryo is transferred inside a surrogate mother.
Okay.
So a woman who is not able to carry her own pregnancy in her own womb due to some medical conditions, or due to previous recurrent implantation failure, or due to some pathology in the uterus, or sometimes there may be absence of uterus. In such conditions, they opt for this surrogacy plan, in that the embryo is created by mother's egg as well as the male partner's sperm inside the lab, and that the resulting embryo is transferred inside the surrogate mother.
Okay.
So there are certain particular set of couples who come under this criteria, for whom the final thing, surrogacy, is usually suggested.
Do you also have, do you
actually
want to add something to that?
Yeah, all I want to say about surrogacy is that surrogacy anyway is under lot of fire these days.
Yeah, in fact, I was thinking we should probably have another show only on surrogacy and come up with the actual facts and the statistics.
And there's a lot of myths associated, lot of things. See, any system, there can be some people who are not doing the best of things. But all I would like to say that it can be a boon for certain people, in which, for example, somebody who doesn't have a uterus from birth, or maybe a very small uterus, things like that. So actually, I feel that if surrogacy loss should be there's no doubt that there should be loss, but there should be slightly milder loss, then it can help lot of people because there's a lot of cost involved also because of this, because everything, the more stringent we get the criteria, the more difficult the procedure becomes.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I think we've answered most of our questions here about IVF and the process. And if you have more questions, you can write to us at solutions@indiaheadnews.com. And what we are going to do then is we're going to direct you to the best doctors and specialists around you. Thank you so much, Dr. Nupur and Dr. Gunjan. It was so nice to get all these answers from you, and the information was absolutely amazing. I'm sure it has helped a lot of our viewers right here on India Ahead. Thank you for watching Solutions Ahead, and we will meet soon on India Ahead.